She doesn't even go here!
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Homo, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Hi, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Not So Straight Nerds. I am Luke.
And I'm Alicia.
And thank you so much for joining our conversation today.
Yeah.
Today we are just going to be talking about the two shows that we are watching weekly.
Lotus.
We got 2 new episodes this week of the White Lotus Season 3.
Both episode 7s in
Interesting.
each season. Yeah,
It's interesting.
it lined
I
up.
realized that.
So yeah.
And then episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. So
Kind of fun vibes today. I feel like both episodes, I will say though, I would say are a step down from the previous ones.
I would agree, actually.
I still liked both. I still have pros and cons for both. I think there are more pros than cons. But they're both kind of nearing that finale, especially White Lotus. The finale is next week. And then Daredevil Born Again only has 2 more. And it's actually probably, I would guess, roughly the same amount of time with the last 2 episodes. I'm guessing like somewhere around the 45-minute mark. And then White Lotus finale is an hour and a half. So
Ooh,
I wonder if it's like the same amount of content we're getting towards the end. We'll see. I'm not really worried for White Lotus in their finale. I'm a little worried about what Daredevil Born Again. I'm pretty
worried about Daredevil.
Although I will say I've heard that the last 2 were worked on by the creators after the overhaul. So I'm hoping they really know what they're doing, because that's what everyone's saying.
That's what we're going into season 2 with.
Yeah, so
because that's already started filming. So I hope they were taking notes on the very first couple episodes.
Yeah. Well,
to be fair, I think that's where a lot of people had some criticism.
Yeah.
Some people.
I don't know. It's interesting. The first 2 episodes I felt like were a weaker start. I liked the first one, and then 2 and 3 I would say were the weaker ones. And then 4 was fine, but it was like we really got to start going. And then 5 and 6 started getting there. 7 was pretty good, not perfect. So we'll see.
It's interesting to see if this is on the like a rise. It's like a dip before another rise.
Yeah.
Or is this gonna keep going?
Are they going to be able to take the pieces, tie it in a little bow, and then move on to something better overall, and more consistently better?
The last note, because Daredevil's not even where we're going to be starting today.
No, we're not.
But I will say,
we're ready to get into it.
We'll bring
clearly,
this back into Daredevil. But people
Mhm.
have said that Disney Plus Marvel shows typically are really bad at picking the finale. So,
that is true.
And we'll talk about that. That's just the last note I want to leave before we come back into that conversation.
Yeah.
But
absolutely,
we are going to start with the White Lotus episode 7 today.
Let's see.
So overall vibes, how did you feel about this episode?
I feel like overall I liked it. I still think it's a strong episode. It's just hard to compare it to the last one, because the last one I would say is nearly perfect, like so close to being perfect, practically perfect basically. And then this episode, even though it's still strong, it's not practically perfect, and so it seems like a step down, even though I don't think it's a step down that we have to worry about. I still think they're going to stick the landing. And I do feel like overall, I was thinking about this episode, because last week you were saying, what are we going to even do this episode? And I do think they had enough to fill an episode. It's just frustrating, because it was like they were kind of doing some last expansion, some last, like, I don't know. It's like the pre-finale. It's just not exciting as the finale, and it's not exciting as the block that really set things in motion and like blew things up. And so it's that weird in between, but I do still think it's strong.
Sure.
So I'm not worried. I still liked the episode. I still enjoyed it. I'm still loving the season overall. It's definitely not. I don't think there has been a bad episode. So I'm still feeling great. What about you?
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of it perfectly, to my thoughts. I think there were some really great reveals this episode.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of them happened really close to each other.
Oh, okay.
And then it was the rest of the episode.
Okay.
So I think that's where it feels like it didn't build momentum as good as some of the other episodes, because they kind of had build up to things, and then they had kind of the wham, wham, wham. This one, they could have separated some of the reveals more evenly, or had build up to the reveals and done them all at the
Yeah.
end. I think they did a lot of the reveals towards the beginning of the episode, which makes the rest of the episode feel like, man, I'm still thinking about that thing that happened like 20 minutes ago, and and we're in another scene. It's like this isn't that scene. So
I do
I
have
think
to
that's
wonder
kind of
if they
where I'm
if
at.
they just kind of added those reveals and just made the previous episode longer. And then maybe even the finale a little bit longer. I mean, heck, if Stranger Things can make 2.5-hour episodes, this can make a 2-hour episode. But anyways, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that would have worked well or if it would have felt rushed. But we got what we got, so we're gonna talk about what we
truly
got.
did.
So there you go.
Before we go into some more spoiler talk for the episode, was there what plot was your favorite in non-spoiler terms?
Ooh, okay, let me look at my pros and see if I can spark my brain again.
Because I think there's
Definitely not the family this episode. I think the
I would agree.
family,
I think it feels a little weird with them being so in separate spaces.
yeah. Like, the stuff definitely happened and progressed, but it wasn't my favorite. The three girls are kind of, I feel like they're pretty much towards the end of their storyline. I feel like pretty much what's happened is going to be what's happened. Maybe not, but we'll see. Guy Talks was a little more interesting, but his is never going to be my favorite.
Sure.
I don't know. I still feel like Chelsea was still my favorite and everything she was involved with. I actually liked Rick's storyline. I know a lot of... I was seeing some chatter online that people didn't like what happened. Like, I can't believe there was that much build-up just for him to push him, but he explained that. And I feel like it would have been really obvious if, like, what happened... what everyone thought was going to happen happened. I guess that's kind of spoilers. If you
Sure.
But if you've been watching, I guess it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, anyways.
But I would
I don't
say
know.
if I had
Probably
to pick,
Chelsea's.
I think Chelsea. I think is fun. I think unfortunately she's just along for the ride for these other people's stories,
She's
which
so like,
she's such a fun expansion to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I liked what her and Saxon had this episode. Like that kind of
She's a
dynamic.
fixer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I
She
thought that
certainly
was
is a
very
fixer.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
I think if I had to pick someone who was having my favorite plot, I think Lori for me.
Okay.
I think she's
was
a part
interesting.
of because she's a part of the friend group, her friend group
Yeah.
kind of unraveling, and then she's a part of that huge reveal later, and then she learns more stuff about that reveal, and I think she is the most interesting, I think, story going on this episode.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little on the back burner with
Okay.
so much going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like no one had. That's a good point. Maybe it's because I don't think this was really anyone's episode. Like I don't
Yeah.
think any one person had a real time to shine, and
I
I think
agree.
Rick was perfectly set up for that.
I think
But
so
I
too.
think ultimately this doesn't feel like his episode. So
No, I
interesting.
agree. I don't think it feels like anyone's episode, which might make it weird. So each episode after the episode, there's like an interview with certain characters, and it's usually like whoever's storyline
Whoever
was
had the
touched on the
big
most.
Plot point.
And this one wasn't.
Whose was it?
I think Belinda and Greg's, which
Yes.
I was gonna say.
Yes, it was.
I felt like it would have been theirs if it was anyone's, especially because Rick already had his. But I don't know. I just don't think.
I think the content of their plot. I think it could have been, but I think it was a little weak this episode. Honestly, I think
Yeah.
the weakest that plot line's ever been. So it feels weird that they were like, "This is their episode."
I felt like what what is her, is it Chloe? I think her name's Chloe, Gary's girlfriend.
I think it's.
I think it's Chloe. I feel like the reveal of what Chloe said to Saxon about Greg was more interesting than anything that
Yes.
happened with Belinda and Greg. And if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what I mean. It was hilarious.
Absolutely.
That was funny, and that was later in the episode. And I think we needed something like that.
Okay.
So,
Awesome. So, one last question I want to ask before we go into spoiler talk on this episode.
okay.
Currently, the finale is next week,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we're both really anticipating seeing how that goes.
I'm
So
excited.
far, where would you rank this among the other two seasons of The White Lotus?
Ooh. Oh, because I haven't seen the other two in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have never rewatched them. I've only seen them when they released, so it's been that long since they were released.
I only watched season 2 when it was coming out, and I watched season 1
After
to catch
that?
up.
Oh, okay.
Because I was in the middle of that, so I was able to catch up on season 1.
Yeah.
And then go straight into season 2 as it was releasing, which was very fun.
Interesting. Season. Oh my gosh. I feel like. I don't know if I would say they've gotten better with. It kind of reminds me. It popped in my head of like High School Musical. I really liked all 3, but I feel like they kind of get better. And even in their own way, they're all good, but they all are good for different reasons.
I completely
So
agree.
it's hard to compare them and rank them because I just like them and they have such different storylines. I think they've really grown into the brand of what White Lotus is. I think it's grown into that very well, and I don't know. I would say they've all gotten better. I would say that's my ranking.
I would say I would agree. On my scale, I gave season 1 and season 2 the exact same score.
Yeah.
For kind of completely different reasons. Because
Right,
season
they're so
1,
different, but
I think thematically, like, I had to keep watching. Whenever season 2 was releasing weekly, and maybe that's a bit of the reason I felt this way,
yeah.
I felt like I didn't need to watch the next episode immediately as it released. And so I thought maybe there was that, but I loved the actors a lot more in season 2. And so, but going into season 3, and if I had to rank them, I would say I would put season 2 over season 1. But season 3, I think, kind of clears the first 2 seasons for me.
I think so too.
I don't think I've been more in.
Yeah,
than
like
I
I've
am
said,
for
it's
this
gotten better
season.
with each season. The third is really, I would say, with your points, like combined and perfected both of the things you liked about each season. I think it's done both of those thematically and character-wise really well this season.
I would agree.
Yeah.
This is a really solid
So
season.
great. Yeah. I agree.
I'm very, very interested to
So.
see how it does on the Emmy circuit.
I know. Parker Posey. We're coming for you, okay? We're
So
rooting for you.
that is going to cut it off for our non-spoiler talk for this episode. So we are going to get into the more specifics of this episode. If you want to catch up with us before we start talking, definitely pause here.
Yeah.
Either skip over to our Daredevil content or go watch that episode and come back. We would love to know what you think.
Oh, one more sentence.
Oh.
Or one more thing before we get into spoilers. With the thing of like in season 2 you didn't feel like you had to watch each episode, I feel like this season I've really wanted to watch each episode, and even we didn't get to watch this last episode Sunday night, and even though it wasn't the finale and it wasn't the full moon episode, I was still like, oh, I wish we got to watch it, but I'm excited to watch it tomorrow kind of
I
thing.
felt
like,
I was itching to watch this.
No, me too.
When I had to like go live my day without having
I
watched The
know.
White Lotus the night before.
Or,
And I
like,
was
stay off
Can I even
Twitter.
go on the internet right now? What am I going to do?
I tried and I was like, no, never mind. I saw the picture of Lori screaming. I was like, I wonder what that's about. And then it was hilarious. It's like, what's happening here? Is she like getting kidnapped or something? But anyway, so
Okay.
that's it. That really is it.
Yeah, into our spoiler talk. So,
Yes.
what are some of the things that you liked about this episode?
Okay, I'll try to go through them. So, Scott Glenn, he's the actor that plays Stick in Daredevil. That's where I know him from. I'm
Yes.
sure he's in other things too.
Very exciting to see him.
Yes, it was very exciting to see him. He is the husband. I don't know his name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to refer to him
Yeah,
as
see if I can
the
find him.
husband, capital T. So, he's the husband of the lady who owns.
Citriella.
I don't even know.
Exact surname.
I'm
That's
not
how I
that
would-
talented. I'm
if I
so
had to guess.
sorry.
Pronunciation that hard. Yeah.
Yeah. He was great. I think he was a great choice. He was a fun surprise, and he did a good job. And then I liked Chelsea's whole storyline, anything she was connected to, and I do feel like her character is pretty stalled just because she's so nice. And so they're like, I don't want to give her nuance because if we give her nuance, it's the White Lotus. We have to make her problematic, and like we don't want to do that. And she's the nice character, but I don't really care. She's such a fun time, and I like what she means for Saxon and his storyline. I feel like obviously you still know he's not going to become a good guy by the end of the season by any means, probably, but I do think it's interesting seeing that possibility because of her. and her very clearly just being like, I don't want a relationship, but I do want you to change. I do care about you. And she cares about anybody, and it's not just him. And I think that's sweet. I see some nuance of people thinking there was chemistry in their scene where they were like meditating on the bed, and then other people being like, I didn't see that at all. I think he shot his shot and it didn't work out. And I like both of those takes. I didn't really feel chemistry, at least from her.
I would agree.
Like I see chemistry there, but it's not.
I think it's not romantic chemistry. I think it's just kind of her looking to reach someone and try and like pull spirituality out of them, which is inherently a very intimate thing.
Yes,
and I think she's just constantly looking for that in everyone. I think she has great chemistry with her friend.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate to say it, I don't think is particularly shining the way other people do on this cast, but I think
so.
she pulls interesting
She
stuff
almost makes
out of
it.
her.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, I think, so due to that actress who you probably know her name before I do.
I think it's Amy something. She was in Sex Education.
Amy Lou Wood.
She's great.
Killing it this season.
Yeah, and she actually, I saw a video the other day of her talking about, because I know everyone's afraid she's going to get veneers. I don't think you have to worry about that, because she had a video where she was like, people have been so nice about my teeth. Like the American, she's British, I think. I think that was the accent. I don't know. Anyways, she was like, the Americans are obsessed with my teeth and I love it, but they've all been so kind. Like I used to get made fun of for my teeth growing up, and so it's really awesome that is something people are universally loving about me and the way I use it in my acting, and it's just like a part of my character. And she was saying how that was really cool. And I'm like, that's good, because we all have like an actress in our mind or even actor that has changed something about their physical appearance because they think it's,
because they got so many comments about it.
Yeah, so they got so many comments about it, and they got bad comments, or they themselves felt insecure about getting so many comments, whether or not it was negative or positive. And so they changed it. Like I think of the actress who played Baby in Dirty Dancing. She changed her nose, and that was such an iconic part of her look that she didn't really go anywhere after that because she lost her look. She lost her iconic look. And so I'm really glad to hear that she's not insecure about it.
Yeah, I think having something that is so unique to you, especially in this industry, where
especially teeth nowadays with the veneers,
you can blend in and be replaced, but it's finding a way to stand out.
Absolutely.
I think owning that is such a cool thing for her, and I love that for her. And
absolutely.
I'm glad that she's getting that experience when I think it so easily could go the other way.
Absolutely. I think that's really fun, and I hope she keeps it forever.
Especially because you know what? With her character, and I want to know what you think about this. I think everyone expected Belinda to really fill Jennifer Coolidge's shoes. I think Chelsea is the one stepping into those shoes.
Yeah, that is true. I agree with that.
I think this really feels like her season overall.
Shining
I think she's just kind of in
moment.
the middle of everything, and I think the season is honestly all the better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Belinda's been great, but
For
Belinda's
sure.
always been who Belinda has always been. I just repeated myself, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
And I think that's great, but it's not the same energy and vibes as Jennifer Coolidge, which is fine. Like there's different types of shining stars, and I think specifically Jennifer Coolidge's star shine is being recreated through Chelsea's character. I agree. And neither one of us thinks she's gonna die. So
I don't know. I really think the whole push between her being the person to make Rick be good. I really think...
Oh, that would be a twist if it's not Rick, if it's her.
I could see her committing to the love story, especially with, do you even really love her? Or love Rick? Are you just one of these people who are here because he has money? I think I could very easily see it where she's proving herself to Rick. And that connection, especially because I don't know if Rick even 100% sees that. So I think there's a good argument for both of them jumping in front of it and taking the bullet for each other.
Absolutely, because, I mean, he just decided not to kill the person he thinks killed his father, and so that's a big moment for him as well, and would also equally make sense.
And especially with all the amount of times she has been put right in danger, I would not be surprised because this is third time's the charm now. So I think both of them are teed up pretty
Didn't she say
well.
like bad things come in 3? Wasn't that her character?
She did say that line at some point.
Ugh. I'm not gonna put that out in the universe any more than we already have.
Sorry.
Shh. It's gonna be fine.
Next topic.
Okay. I do like, so I had the early theory that Tim was not just going to kill himself, that he was going to kill himself and take at least some of his family with him. And another piece fell in place. Like 1 or 2 episodes ago, Victoria said something that was like, oh, now he's going to take her out. And then we saw in his mind him imagining that. Yeah, visioning that. And then Saxon, he also said something about, if, you know, I'm nothing if not my job, basically. Like, I don't know what I would do. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I'm nothing without this. And then I think we do see,
he shows him shooting his wife in bed. Saxon sees what's up, and then it goes, pew, pew.
Yep. So it's not looking good for any of them.
Yeah, it's a shame he knows where that gun is.
Yeah.
Or does he?
That is interesting. If it is being built up so heavily, and so if it does happen and it's not like a last minute twist, how does he get the gun, or how does he get a gun? It might not be the same gun. I don't know.
We'll see.
Because we still have the Russians as a factor.
We do. There's a lot of angry groups.
Yeah, a lot of angry groups involved. So it could come from anywhere.
And you know what? We don't even have the Italian gays here.
Nope.
To bring their weapons.
I also liked, with the Russians, Guy Talk finding out that they are not so innocent.
Yes, the reveal that the Russian friends of Valentine are the ones responsible for robbing the store. Yes. And we saw that, and Guy Talk realized that him being at that gate and having it held open for him was a part of the plan to get them into the hotel. I think that was a huge reveal. We did guess that Guy Talk would see the people responsible fighting. Yeah. But I did not clock that it would be
the Russians.
That. I
that
think
makes
that was
sense, though.
Really cleverly written and not super obvious to me. I was gagged.
White Lotus is very good at putting all their cards on the table and still finding ways to surprise people.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, because they use everything they put on the table, but you don't always know how they're going to use it, what they're going to do with it. I think that's very interesting. It's very, very cool. Because, you know, some, like, mystery movies, murder mystery movies, they don't give you the pieces until they want you to figure it out at the end. And then others do. And this is, like, and you
always have a good murder mystery when it's not, oh, I wouldn't have guessed that. It's, oh, I could have guessed that. That's when you have the real success of a murder mystery. Exactly. Which, actually, I don't know if I've ever consideed White Lotus to be a murder mystery. And it is one of sorts.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really interesting way to look at it.
I'm gonna try to hurry.
Mystery in reverse. Okay, keep going.
Well, I'm gonna try to hurry through this because we're already at 23 minutes. Anyways.
Gosh.
Okay. I only have really 2 more, but I'll go through my cons really quickly. So Zion needs to have some sense. Come on, dude. You're putting your mother in danger. I know you're a guy, but you still know danger exists out there. But anyways. And then we already talked about Tim finding the gun, but I liked that scene. I liked that one. Or not finding the gun, or realizing it was gone.
Yeah, keep going.
Guy Talk needs a new job.
And he knows it.
We had that conversation. Here, homie? Yeah. And why is Mook, I think her name is? Girl, why are you encouraging him to stay? He's already said that's not his calling, that's not his personality.
And you work in the hotel. Hype him up to work in the hotel.
Exactly.
If you actually care about him.
He literally said, like, it's just not my personality. I never want to be a violent person. It's not like right now I'm unable to, and then she pushes him to, you know, I guess try to be violent. He very clearly states he's never going to be a violent person. He never wants to be a violent person. And she's like, well, you know, you could do it. You could try. I'm like, no, he's telling you that's not him. So encourage him to find another job within the hotel. I don't know.
Yeah, that
seemed weird.
Pushed us to think that maybe she wanted him there so that the robbery could happen, but then we were revealed seconds later that, it's these people, involved. Not the ones we were thinking.
I mean, unless they reveal that she was involved in whatever capacity, I have no idea in the finale, but I don't know. Maybe I'm giving too much credit.
To the Guy Talk storyline?
Yeah. And then with the Zion thing, Belinda girl, just take the money.
Gary lays it all out on the table. You know me. I know you. I can find you. You can report me. I'll give you money. Yes. Do that thing my wife wanted to do with you. And
she's
let me-
right. It is hush money. But I'm like, yeah, by a man who has successfully killed multiple people. Like,
In any
so
case,
maybe take
say
the
you're
hush
going to take
money.
it and go and then
Yeah,
report him. And then you can do
exactly.
whatever with that money after the fact.
Exactly. I hate people who are like, I'm rising above. I don't need the money. Girl, shut up. Anyways.
Or
Love
at least
you.
in that situation, the thing to do is
Yeah.
go along with it until you can actually report him.
Well, and also, you do deserve the money. She was going to start a business with you and then just ditched you, and she felt bad about it. All of those things are true. So just, girls, accept the money. Accept the win, okay? Who cares if it's also hush money? It's also money you deserve.
And
so
you would too for a
whatever.
check.
Yeah. And then I don't know. I felt like the vibes were weird with Lori at the fight with Alexei and Valentine. It's a very minor thing. I don't know. I guess I don't even know why really I wrote that down. For some reason I did. Maybe it's because I didn't know what it would lead to.
And then we saw.
Yeah, so...
Because now Lori knows, or at least can piece together where that jewelry
Yes.
and Russian guy's
She has the
place
pieces.
came from.
Yep.
But then that escape scene is literally so
Hilarious.
funny.
She got those... She accepted a couple slaps and then ditched.
Dropped.
So good for her. And then also... This is more of just like a I feel bad on Piper's behalf, not a con for the episode.
Yeah.
But Lachlan wanting to join Piper, I'm like, no.
And
no.
then we're like, just wait until you find out you don't have a college fund anymore.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna really want to stay.
Wait till you find out your brother has done stuff with your other brother. Wait till you find out
No,
you
but that
also
is-
have no money.
But that is so real. Like, you get along with this person, and you really enjoy this person, and then they say something that overstays their welcome,
Yep.
and you don't want to ruin that relationship, but you need to express that, don't stay for me, I don't
Right.
want you to stay, and this is clearly not your thing,
I just
and you're
want
making it your thing.
Right, exactly. Lachlan's a very, like, wish-washy person.
Well, he
because
is.
he's in that state of life of trying to figure out who he is.
And the show is making a really big deal about, is he going to be like his sister? Is he going to be like his brother? And to
Yeah.
him, those are the only two options.
Instead
And
of just
so-
being himself.
And
Learning
so
that.
you can see him just so clearly chasing whichever one is going to give him validation.
Yep.
And he was trying to be
Yep.
like his brother, and now his brother doesn't like him for some reason.
Who would guess? You know, I just have no idea.
Man,
Anyways.
some people just are so jerky in how they interact with each other.
Speaking of freaks, Gary.
Come on, man.
He has a cheating freak.
We don't kink shame. I don't kink shame.
I thought it was funny.
It's
I mean,
hilarious.
That's a
I
not
wonder.
not a healthy kink, but like at least it's like, you know, like a consensual thing, and
Sure.
it's like, is it really harming anybody in the end?
I just loved.
But you know,
I loved Gary watching the
Yeah,
entire scene
that was
at
it
the
was
end.
so funny with the reveal that he was watching the whole time. That was great.
Very fitting. Very fitting.
Again, that was not a con for the episode, just more like ugh.
The ick that the show wants you to have.
Right. And then
And then Lori escape.
oh yeah.
Mission.
Yeah, I
Reward
could take that
possible.
one off too, because she did escape. So
Yeah.
I was just being impatient, okay, for the Lori stuff. It was fine. It panned out perfectly.
Quickly going through my pros.
Yeah.
Loved the party. Loved it bringing all of these characters together.
Yeah.
Girls be hating. Love seeing that progress. And now Lori's off like, fine, I'll just go do my own thing
The
if you guys
girls
want to be
are
sticklers.
fighting.
And then the ones who stay could start getting at each other. And it's like, you are going to detest each other to the end of time.
I did appreciate that Kate was trying to. She's trying to play middleman, and she's losing both. I appreciate that detail
And
because it
what
never
a
works.
sign.
Just grow a backbone,
Yeah.
one or the other.
Chelsea,
you know?
gotta protect her. Like we said, she's the star of the show. I honestly think
Yes.
if we were looking at characters to go into the next season,
Oh yeah,
maybe Chelsea.
hopefully.
Honestly, do you think Chelsea could maybe get a job at another White Lotus?
I don't know, because I don't know if there's any lead up to that. Like, why would she get a job? How would she get a job?
Well, I mean, it's like Belinda. Why would we have guessed
Yeah.
Belinda was going to be here? And
But
then they
that's what I
explain
mean,
why she's there now. I mean,
oh yeah, that's
looking
true.
for spirituality, trying to
Yeah.
fill that role, because this hotel's
Yeah.
very spiritual. Maybe there's another one they could say is, if they find the right culture and setting for her to kind of expand in.
That's
I think she
true.
would be a fun returning character.
She would, like, her and Belinda. I feel like she would thrive with Belinda's job. I feel like.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
like
would
the
agree.
therapist or something. That would be cool.
The property reveal was awesome. Lachlan's a mess. Scary. No more gun. But as you can see in
Oh yes,
the
teaser
for the next
okay,
episode.
if you don't want to know the teaser, I know some people don't like watching trailers because they get spoilers.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about something big.
But also they did bring it up earlier in the show, which is genius.
That is true, but
So,
they brought it back.
You've been warned.
Yes.
For the next couple seconds, we're going to talk about this. The fruit.
Yes.
The fruit outside of their hotel room, the family's
Yeah.
hotel room, is poisonous. The seeds are poisonous. And it cuts him being reminded of the fruit with the blender that Saxon has to make his energy drinks.
Yep.
So hey, if you can't shoot him, poison him.
Which I don't know if that's like a we want you to think this is gonna happen. It's not kind
I
of
think
thing.
he might try, and then it's probably going
Yeah.
to be something where he's having a conversation with someone, and it's like, do I want you to drink it? Do I not
Right,
want you?
right,
Do
right.
I? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh.
Which that could be interesting.
I think
see.
that'll.
We'll see if that
I
pans
can
out.
very imagine that being a part of the next episode at some point.
Maybe that happens and he prevents them from drinking it and just like bursts and reveals everything about the company. Maybe he just snaps.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm very interested to see if they ever find out that they are broke. Like
I mean, at some point, but
someone. I don't know.
cons I had: Belinda being goofy. Girl, make a choice. Don't be Kate. You gotta go one or the other here.
Yeah.
I think guy talk. You gotta get a new job. You now realize you gotta get a new job. We
Yep.
gotta see you get a new job. Tell someone else about the guard.
Yeah.
The people in
Find
the robbery.
where you thrive, because this is not where you thrive.
And then no one planned that murder really well with the whole director bit. Like, just say
Right.
why you're there. Maybe pull up her IMDb on your
plan a little
phone.
bit.
Say you're getting texts. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think there's so many funny ways that
They
scene
didn't
could have
even
gone.
try. They were just,
just-
like,
And there's still funny things you can do where you prepare for this,
Mm-hmm.
say the basics of why she's interested in this movie and what
Right.
you said about his role that he's coming in and filling off the bat.
Well, because then it gets to a certain point where it makes the lady, who's clearly very smart and capable and talented, at a certain point it makes her look dumb and gullible.
And there's only so far you can get with blinded by ego. And I
Right.
think it's very close to that line.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that could have been just a little cleaner. I think it easily could have been a lot cleaner just with us seeing her IMDb
just
page
something little.
and just being like, oh, like not being able to pronounce whatever's
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
screen
yeah.
or something.
Uh-huh.
And then the manager sings finally. Cool. I guess, considering they clearly built that up into something, it's weird that was just it. And then
It was
he
kind of funny at the same time, though, that was like so much build up, and he's like, finally my moment, and it's cut out like 5 seconds later.
Well, my thing
It was
is,
a
I
little
don't know
funny,
what they
but-
want us to feel about that, because he was singing in German.
Yeah.
So personally, I couldn't really tell you if he was singing bad or not, or how we were supposed to feel on that.
Yeah.
We didn't get audience reaction at all. So it just feels like a really weird point to add in that was built up to.
Yeah,
If
that's fair.
I
that's
don't
fair.
really know how I'm
I thought
supposed
the
to feel about
cutoff
that.
was funny, but yeah, it was like, well, then what did you build up to? But yeah, that's fair.
And then, yeah,
Kinda
like I
like-
said, the big reveals are all up at the front, and it feels pretty slow throughout most of the rest of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think just the pacing and balance of when stuff happened could have been a little better.
So, final predictions.
Okay.
Who do you think's gonna die?
I think the family has to live.
All of them?
I kind of think so. They've been building it up too long that they're going to be the ones who die.
I was kind of wondering if it's like now being built up too
So
much.
I think if I had
then
to choose,
where do you
I
go
think-
from there?
I think our biggest
That's what my
contenders
thing
are
is.
Chelsea, Rick, and if Rick dies, that's another reason that Chelsea goes on to the White Lotus alone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'd see Rick again ever again.
I don't
And
think so.
then I also think maybe Gary.
Okay.
Maybe Gary dies, and that's why Belinda goes off to go do whatever.
Right, because we're so scared for Belinda, it might pull in
Maybe it
Uno
goes around on
reverse.
Gary some way,
Mhm.
somehow. So I think those are my big three that I'm thinking of, and if I had to choose between them, I think.
Which it could be multiple. We heard multiple shots, so I think it's fair to say multiple
Sure.
people.
But I was thinking it was going to be multiple people, and then
Last
while
episode.
the gays on the boat also died,
It was really just
it
one,
was
like
her.
Mhm.
So I would say, if I had to guess, it's probably my votes. I don't want to be basic and say Rick. I think he's probably the most likely,
yeah.
and I don't want it to be Chelsea, so I'm gonna go Gary.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not 100 on if the show would want to make it that simple, because it can't be Belinda, because in the opening scene we see Zion looking for the body. He doesn't react like he sees his mother. We don't know who he is, so you can argue that's why whatever.
We should go back and watch his reaction, because
it's definitely not
Gary,
you found the person that you're looking for. But he would recognize
Gary. He would recognize him, so that's why I'm wondering if it is Rick, because he wouldn't recognize Rick. Rick hasn't been here.
That's a good point. But my vote's going to be on Gary for now, so then Belinda could even potentially return somewhere else.
Yeah. In that case, I'm going to be basic and say Rick.
Okay.
Because I was also
Rick's a good vote.
I was also somewhat thinking, are they pushing this family thing too much? Is he going to try to kill them? It doesn't work.
And then the Russians are going to come in and say, cheers.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they realized that he tried to poison them and said, like, you know, what's up? And maybe that reveal. But then my only thing with that is, where do we go from there?
Yeah.
Like, does it literally just collapse and, like, we don't know what their future is? I guess they're just
they all go to the Buddhist
jail.
temple.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, they're fine until they go back to the U.S., so.
But it's also an hour and a half, so.
You got a lot of time to do a lot of things.
You got a lot of time. So, what's your question? You wrote down Luke's question.
My question. Was it which season? Was that the ranking?
Maybe it was. That was like a I have a question thing.
I feel like I had another one, but I can't remember it right now. Shame on me. Shame on me.
Do you want to talk about...
Something I did want to say.
Okay.
So, it was recently reported, and I don't know if you saw this, that they cut out a very minor part of the show where Laurie's daughter, that they talk about a handful of times in the first couple episodes, is non-binary or trans.
Okay.
So, and there's these big reports coming out about how, because of the political situation that they're releasing it in, they decided to cut that. And there's big flashy headlines of cutting trans storyline in the White Lotus. But then Laurie's actress had an interview where she was talking about that and what that meant in the lead up to the I'm an independent plot line and that whole breakup, and how it built up her character's relation to that conversation. So, and ultimately they ended up deciding to cut it because it was a really important conversation, but it wasn't explored enough to make it worth it. So that's why it ended up on the cutting room's floor. So my question to you, would you have cut it? Do you think it's okay to just casually have those kind of conversations in there, in these kinds of shows that are big and seen everywhere? Is it okay to have these characters? Because another part was that she wasn't 100% in. She was supportive, but she didn't understand it. Was supposed to be the character. Okay. So it was supposed to be a scene where she's like, yeah, she's doing, sorry, they, them are doing. Okay. So she doesn't super understand it, but she's being supportive and trying to explain it to people who don't understand it as well.
I feel like if you're going to explore that, then explore that. I don't think there's anything wrong whatsoever of just like mentioning, because these people exist everywhere. And like, even when people pretend they don't exist, they do. And so I don't think there's anything wrong whatsoever about mentioning them. But I do think if you're going to go down the path of like, she's supportive but doesn't understand, I would want that to go somewhere. And I don't see, in the context of what I've seen of the show so far, I don't see where that would have gotten or where that would have gone. So, I mean, I wish they didn't cut the whole character.
She wasn't supposed to be in it. It was just supposed to be a mention.
Right. The mention of the character. Yeah. I wouldn't have cut the whole character, but I maybe would have cut or at least changed what you're doing with what that means for the friendship and that dynamic. Either explore it or change it in a way that doesn't need to be explored, I guess. Because what I heard, I would want that to be explored. But
I don't know. Interesting. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. That's interesting. I did not hear that actually at all.
So is there anything else, or are we gonna skip on?
Okay, go to Daredevil.
Yep. So we hope you guys enjoy the finale. We will be very excited to talk about it with you guys next week.
We will be watching Sunday.
If you haven't caught up, catch up, because things we are anticipating things being very crazy and very tense.
And you'll see spoilers. Like someone's gonna die, and so you're gonna see, if you go online, you're gonna see who dies.
And the death scenes for this show so far have been iconic.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see if it matches that energy. I feel like it has
to.
So, but we'll see. We'll see you guys there on the other side.
Yes.
So on to
Daredevil.
Born Again.
Dun, dun, dun. Do you want to start this
Sure,
time
I
with
would
your
love to.
pros?
So we've talked a lot about our overall feelings. Wasn't bad, was not on the level we wanted it to be. Just another okay episode. I would say this episode is around the same level as I would say like the first one for me. I think it's a little bit better than maybe a good couple notches over where I think a lot of the White Tiger stuff was for me.
I think so.
Because I think it involves a lot of the other stuff and it feels like it moves things a little forward. I think it did have to be Muse for the sake of this show, and I think you know how that episode ended is what it is, and I think we can deal with it. So some pros I had were the action. We got action again. Where you been, baby? I missed ya. I love to see ya. You're doing wonders.
Glad you're continuing. We got you the last 2 episodes. Let's keep it up. Punisher's supposed to be in next 1 or 2 episodes, so we're gonna get, and obviously the finale we're gonna get some action. So looks like action from here on out, which is
Very
good.
fun. We have a character gets a therapy session
Yes.
this episode, and it's very interesting. It goes very haywire. It's very fun to see. I loved that scene, and then it just kept going, and then it ended, and we'll talk about that when we get to more spoiler talk. Fisk versus Daredevil is being set up as kind of these heads clashing.
Yes.
It's very exciting to see build up. I'm worried we won't get to see it until next season.
Yeah.
Which
We'll see.
will be interesting to see what they do to replace that for the big penultimate moment of this season, how it ends. And then Vanessa and Fisk, they continue to be the dream team.
They're such a cute couple.
I love kind of seeing how they kind of heal, and the idea that even if they're not at their best, they're always gonna be there for each other. It's kind of like how Harley and Ivy were towards the end of their show with their whole plot line of I can be angry at you, but I'll still love you.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see this villain. Well, they're both villains actually, but this more live action, more grounded take on that.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's very interesting to see those side to side. What are some things you liked about this episode?
I also liked the therapy session, and I mean, I feel like we can get into spoilers.
Okay, go ahead.
That would kind of be fun if we do like one person goes through their pros and then the next person's pros are like the spoiler talk.
Sure.
I don't know, we could try it. So I liked the Muse therapy session. I know people have a lot of thoughts about how it ended. It's hard because initially when I was watching it, I was having so much fun. I was having so much entertainment. Like I thought I was feeling really good about it. And then I sat with it for a while and I saw other people's comments and they brought up some really good points about how it was a great ending and a good start. You know, when he was first introduced, meeting Heather, getting the book signed, and then learning that he was going to become a client. But then the entire middle, at least with Heather, was missing. We saw like the pop-ups of the murals and then the reveals that it was blood and then 60 victims and then Angela, and then that I felt like built up pretty well. But the him and Heather thing didn't build up at all for it to end like it did. And so that makes it hard because I still love the start.
It's a lot of showing and telling.
Yes. And
not even telling, you just have to infer that her work meant so much to him. Because,
I guess, yeah. And then the same thing with the Taekwondo. I watched a video where this person said, like, I would have loved to see that in a flashback. Even if he was talking while seeing the flashback, that makes it more visually interesting. And that kind of shows you, since you didn't build it up whatsoever. And I wish we at least saw it at some point. If not in that scene, if nothing else, you know, maybe outside, like.
You know what would have been so cool, actually, and is a huge missed opportunity? He's an artist. You could have had him, like, putting these kinds of things in, like, the backgrounds of his murals and have, like, through that kind of tell the story of how he became Muse. Because it's all about who he thinks he is, and his art is clearly so important to him because he's crazy, and he has this unique way of how he sees himself and how he wants to be seen. And, like, it would have been so cool to cut to and I was forced to do these things and like flash to some of the art pieces that we didn't see. Clearly, there's a lot that we didn't see because they're all over the place.
Yeah, you would have had the like, oh moment,
And like,
I see
it's pieces
it,
we've
I
already
get
seen.
it.
We can be like, oh, that's what that meant.
Yep.
I think that's that's a great point. There's some missed opportunity here just with what this character is, and my pitch of this whole show, of at least maybe not even the whole show, but this season was that Muse was supposed to be an antagonist to both Daredevil as a vigilante and to Kingpin as mayor of the city, and they were both having to deal with him from different angles. And we don't get a lot of that now because, as we've already gotten into spoiler talk, he did. So...
Or so we think. I mean, some people are saying in the comics he comes back with powers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be very weird, I think, for how grounded Daredevil is. They've done some stuff like that before, I think, pretty well with Elektra in the original show, so maybe?
And again, if the showrunners end with a big bang, then I have full faith in them, whatever they do. But they have a lot to fix and tie together, so we'll see if they hit that or not.
I'm interested to see how long this show runs for. Like, is this going to be something we just keep running for? Do you guys have an end in mind?
Yeah.
We know you're working within the MCU, so do you already have an end point that you kind of have to work around what the MCU's doing?
Right.
It's very interesting now that it's in the same sandbox as Marvel, and it's not so separate from so much of its other content.
And with Muse, I also want to say another way they could have done it is just like one of their opening scenes. They could have just started with the flashback and then have the viewer slowly figure out, is this Muse? Because this is like a kid and he's violent, and then it cuts to Muse. Like maybe last episode when it was about him, maybe they could have started with that, and then, you have that cut and you see a mural or you see his face or, something that's like, oh, that was him as a kid. And then you have the next episode talking about that.
Because you know what?
Just
What would have been great? If there was some kind of flashback and, the blood from attacking his taekwondo got, here. And, that's where he got that from. There's so much,
really
missing
cool.
content to this character.
Just little things.
Because, let me make sure.
We're just spitballing ideas. We've never talked about this before. And so that's all it takes. We're not professionals. Why can't the professionals spitball and do this? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, you just gotta queen out with your writer's room.
Just have a podcast. Just don't post it or Kevin's going to come for you. And that's how you can figure out what you do with your show.
Absolutely.
Obviously. That's perfect.
Sleepover. But I will say, let me make sure I get his name right because I think he's great. Hunter Doohan, who plays Muse. He was in Wednesday. I thought he was super charming in Wednesday. He's also in Your Honor, which I have started a little bit of.
Okay.
It's another amazing show that he's in, and he does great there too. So he's a very talented and very charming actor. And he's playing this role where when he's in the mask, you don't get to see him act outside of body language.
Right.
And how much of that is a stunt person anyways. So I feel like with this being one of 2 scenes we'll ever get to see as him playing this character, it is such a missed opportunity for him to not unpack this more.
Yeah. Because it's essentially wasting a talented actor. You're not giving him almost anything to work with. And he did good with what he had, but it was almost nothing.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, this role didn't need to be him.
Yeah.
This could have been someone where this was their step into the spotlight, and he could have been saved for something that was maybe more recurring or more something I would say up to his level.
I will say that's one of the reasons I do hope that people are right that he will return.
I would love to
that
see
would
him back.
give more opportunity for that. But
yeah, I'm worried they might go. Maybe not worried, but it would be a shame to replace his actor if it's like a copycat thing. Maybe at some point where other people start doing artwork and protest to Kingpin, and there's some political comparisons there to the real life.
I hope if that happens, I hope it's not a permanent thing.
I would imagine.
I hope that's not that's his version of coming back. Like, no.
Yeah.
If he's going to come back, it needs to be him. Or very briefly a copycat. Very briefly.
I agree. And
so then I have, for the rest of my pros, Fisk. I liked that Fisk found out about Daredevil. I thought that was done
a great
well.
opening scene.
And it's also one of those...
You look out this window. What do you see? A Starbucks?
It's one of those things that I like that at that point he has also become the old Fisk in his ways. And so it's not like it can be it's fair for him to be mad, but of course he's Fisk, so of course he still is mad. Like it's just so perfectly Fisk. It's like, I love it. I love everything about this scene. I love that he knows, and I love how he reacted. So, yeah. And then Vanessa's conversation with Luca. I didn't like Luca's conversation, I want to say last episode.
With Kingpin?
Yeah.
I also agree that it was
weird.
A lot of talking, and you're trying to threaten, but you don't feel that threatening.
No. I liked it much better with Luca, the dynamic there of like, you did so much better, you led so much better, and Vanessa just having that calm of like, you need to get your act together, like you don't know what you're doing, and then just kind of that slow realization that manifests later of like, he's not going to let this go, I need to do something with this. And then spoilers later, she basically sets him up by sending him to Fisk, but obviously tipping off Fisk. And I think this for two reasons, because the internet seems to be a little slow with this. It's okay, they'll get there.
There's definitely some dialogue on people trying to interpret whether or not Vanessa was setting up, which one Vanessa was setting up.
Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate because they're underestimating how smart Vanessa is.
Yeah.
We've seen and we've heard how great of a leader she was in like Villain Mastermind or whatever. And so it's weird that people are thinking that she actually believes Luca could have killed Fisk. Like, let's be real.
She has such a clear understanding of Fisk.
Yeah. Like
no one understands this situation more than her.
Right. Like, come on. Don't underestimate Vanessa. Give her some more credit than that. And
Vanessa.
then, yeah, because she's sending him by himself. And, I mean, like, come on. It's Fisk. Come on. Anyways. And then also, what's his name? Buck, I think. He was also there. And the other reason I know for a fact that she tipped him off is, or at least I'm so confident in it, is because when in this show, the interesting thing they've done with Fisk is that when he's about to dive into his old ways, or at least being tempted to, he eats a lot of food. And when he's trying to be his new, like, I guess, cleaner self, or like nicer, less villain self.
In the mayor role, you see him eating a lot less. A
lot less, yes. And then you had that visual after he ate a big meal, his suit started ripping because he was gaining weight. That was a visual thing of like, oh, he's becoming the older Fisk. And then when Luca shows up, not only does he have his back towards the door, and as if he's not worried at all, he's also eating a lot of food. And then also Buck is there to, in the shadows, practically waiting for someone, expecting someone to show up. Like, come on. All the context clues are there. Obviously, she didn't actually set Fisk up. She set Luca up. Let's be real.
That's our conclusion.
But anyways.
And that is our thesis.
Yeah. It's frustrating because it's so obvious to me what happened, and a lot of people are missing it. But anyways. Also, I liked Muse making one final painting with his own blood and body because he was getting beat up by Daredevil and then killed by Heather. That was great. I thought that was very poetic. Again, I wish I had better lead up to it, but what a great ending for him. So, and yeah, the more action. I also agree the action was fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
All the cons.
And not even Kamala. Anyways,
go on. We're at 53 minutes. Go ahead. Hurry up.
Okay. So the PI character, guys, so much respect to this actor. You gotta go. This is a nothing role. There's so many.
Everyone agrees.
There's so many characters in this show that don't add to this show in any way, and unfortunately, he's at the top of most people's list.
Gosh.
Like, you gotta do something or die for the plot.
And the audacity for him to get mad at Matt for saving a girl from a serial killer.
That's another thing where it's like, he's not like.
At least he's not becoming Daredevil again and then trying to kill people. He's saving people. Why are you mad at him for that?
Yeah, it's that whole thing I think is really sloppily explored
So
because
annoying.
we don't know this character at all. He's just here to randomly do stuff.
Randomly
when
get
the
mad
plot
at Matt for
remembers
being Daredevil.
he's there. So I think it's
he's like, no, I'm not going to help you find the serial killer.
The ensemble of the show, I think, has to change. It is just
Crazy.
so clearly trying to exist on its own without Foggy and Karen.
Yep, they're trying to
and
replace
it just has
them.
nothing that you can lean on that matches their energy.
Nope. And that was our complaints about the second and third episode, and part of the fourth is like they're trying to exist without these characters, but not putting something equally as interesting in. And that's with the action, that's with Karen, that's with Foggy. There's not a good replacement for any of those.
And in the earlier parts, with us not seeing Daredevil.
Yep.
So, and then
It's just frustrating. And then the one interesting thing was Hector Ayala, and then they
did
killed that storyline. They did nothing with it. So it's like it almost became interesting, and then it stopped. It just literally died. So it's so frustrating.
So, and then we also made a lot of fun of the
picture thing.
Daredevil running over the textured picture of his girlfriend and being like, wait a minute.
That's not how that works.
I know this painted face.
No. No, you don't.
Grace Randolph had the amazing line, "It's a good thing I touched my girlfriend's face this morning."
Right? That's such like a cookie cutter. See, this totally makes sense, right? Right?
He does that to the picture, and then he just runs after the wrong person. He's like, "I'm here."
No, and I'm just like, really? I know his powers allow him to do a lot.
Guys,
that's not
Muse
one of them.
is a really good painter.
If it was a sculpture, sure. But a painting,
you know what?
be for
Sculpture
real.
is a great way to meet in the middle there.
Right. But that's just not Muse's thing. And so, and I don't know how you could have found what the solution or like alternate.
The book. Her book.
Yeah,
Have
that's
her book
true.
be there.
That's so true. Because maybe, I don't know, maybe it'd be in Braille or something.
Maybe just have like the text indented. He read off the bullet.
That's true. That's true. Very true.
There's
That's all you need.
ways around it. But craziness,
That's
very.
crazy.
It's one of those things where it's like, I guess something had to happen, but they chose a route that completely takes us out and laughs at the decision, not with it.
Yep.
So, and then Muse, gone too soon. They needed to do more with him. I came in expecting him to be this huge thing, and then it didn't. This is not the conclusion I think that this character deserved.
No.
It continues to just be a moving piece to this overarching themes for both characters that I don't think are super interesting yet, at least yet, maybe. But I just continue to not have a whole lot of enthusiasm for the vigilante police and him with his girlfriend. Those are just two parts of these characters I truly could not care less about.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The biggest thing about the vigilante police is cool. So that means we're going to see more vigilantes that you could have already just had in the show.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well.
And we get to lose Muse in the process. So cool. And then this loser is going to come in here threatening BB. Like, she already is a much more interesting character than you, and she has had not a fraction of your screen time.
Right.
This thing sounds like a joke. She should not be taking your character seriously.
No.
If she was going to be threatened.
They painted him as a loser. Yeah. And then expect us to take his threat seriously.
And she sees him as a loser, too.
Yeah. And, again, Grace Randolph, love you. Grace Randolph also brought up a good point with this, is great dialogue. Great dialogue.
Great lines.
Horrible person to have saying this. I mean, she said, I don't know if he's a bad actor or if he's just horribly miscast, but it's one of the two. And I 100% agree with that.
It just feels like this kind of character wouldn't be as important to Fisk.
No.
As as the script seems to think it would be.
I mean, maybe he's bluffing, but like I didn't read that at all. So if that was the
he certainly
point,
seems to think. I read that as he believes what he's saying.
Yeah, I do too. And so
but
if
it
he's
feels
bluffing,
really dumb to come out of his mouth.
Right, I agree, 100%. And also with BB, let's develop her a little more. Let's do something with her.
If she's another thing, this ensemble is too big to have all
BB,
of these characters.
Right, take out the uninteresting characters, develop, or like more heavily develop the interesting characters like BB.
Yeah, because you know what? I think, honestly, why is BB and Angela Del Torres, I think is her last name, why are they two separate characters in this season? Like, I understand they have different roles, but like, if you're going to have like BB easily could have been the person who goes into the. Could have been the one hunting for the serial killer on her own
I see
for
what
her
you
thing.
mean.
Like
They're two very interesting characters that
but
both deserve
you're not
way
doing
more
enough with
development.
either of them to warrant them being
Exactly.
separate characters. They
Yeah.
could have been the same character in this season.
Yeah.
And you just work around the specifics of why they're doing what they're doing because both work. Maybe that's just the thing they wanted to add to Angela, that she wants to do a show, and maybe she works with the team or whatever. It's just too much happening, and it could be
Not enough
connected, and it's
development.
just not.
Yep. I agree.
And then, do I have any other ones? Oh, yeah. Speaking of Angela, are you going to be the White Tiger or not? Because you know what'll fix losing all of that blood, probably? Maybe that magical amulet that you inherited.
Yep.
Like, I really thought they were just going to be like, well, this is going to take a while. Take that!
Yeah, I really, really hope she becomes White Tiger by the end of the episode. At least has the amulet by the end of the season.
Yeah. I feel like
'Cause
in
if not,
I
oof.
can so clearly see in the last episode her, like, getting
Like a
home and it,
send-off.
like, glowing green on the table.
Yep.
I honestly,
they better do something at the bare minimum, at least something like that.
yeah, I continue to think that's not enough for introducing these characters now, but
Well, I'm also just afraid that if they try to do too much, like actually have her get a suit and fight, there's no lead up to that. And so I think it would be fine if they show her with the amulet, and then maybe season 2 they actually dive into that.
sure.
But
I don't think she'd get a costume this season at all. But
I sure hope not. But again, Marvel finales tend to be a lot of pretty rushed. So
and
I'm
that
a
is where
little
we started this
scared.
conversation, actually. So let's finish this list and then hop on that.
Well, actually, all of my cons you already touched on, and so I think hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So
I'm good.
So how are we feeling about Marvel finales?
I don't know. I'm feeling better than I was at the start of the season, and I'm hopeful because the last 2 are like solely from the overhaul, which are supposedly from people who know what they're doing, which is the reason they ended up signing on for the show. But I am more scared than I would like to be, especially, I mean, that is such a good point that the past finales have not been good. So I don't know.
I think for
really
me personally,
depends on if they're that as good as people are saying.
Sure.
Really.
I think Marvel's Disney Plus finales have worked more for me than I think most people.
I haven't complained about them as much as people either, but I can see what they mean.
I think which ones would I describe as like bad? I think She-Hulk's. I think
They really tried something and it did not hit the mark at all.
I think
People dislike WandaVision's a lot more than I do.
I think
I had some grace for that though because of COVID, and I know that messed it up a little bit. So I think I had more grace for that one.
I would agree with that as well. I think I also adore WandaVision. And ultimately, it achieved what it was trying to. It wasn't trying to fit into some bigger picture, and a lot of people wanted it to.
Yeah.
But that was the whole premise early on of what these Disney Plus shows are. It's more of these characters and building their connections into this universe and weaving more threads for us to see in other areas.
Yep.
And I think WandaVision, start to finish, is exactly that with these characters. And so... And honestly, some of the stuff that I heard they wanted to include in the finale, I don't think needed to be there. Like, just from what I've heard of what was supposed to be there, I'm like, okay, cool. I think we get enough of some of this. The biggest thing, the only thing I really buy is Darcy could have done something else. Yeah. Other than hit someone with an ice cream truck.
But what about the other
ones? I would say Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think the finale is easily the best episode of that show.
Okay.
I think Loki season it ends. It's really talky, but I love the last episode of Loki. I think Hawkeyes is a really big spectacular I really enjoyed. Moon Knight, I understand people saying it's rushed, and I can follow you there. I remember going into it thinking, how the heck is all of this going to happen in one episode? And I was like, okay, well, I guess they did it. So I'll buy that. I don't think that show's strength, but I think it was fine. I think I said She-Hulk's not great. I think Ms. Marvel had some fun stuff there, and then I think the way it tries to expand the lore last minute is a really weird choice that leaves a weird note for that show.
Yeah.
I think the finale is one of the stronger episodes of that show.
I agree.
Other than the weird, oh, is that what you want to do for Miss Marvel? I'm trying to think of the other shows right now. Echo, I think, was personally, just because of the expectation I had for that character, it was a really weird direction that they took that show that I wasn't a huge fan of in the first place. So where it ended, where she stays in Oklahoma, it's like good for her that she's with her family. How often are we going to go to Oklahoma to see her? I would love to continue seeing her in our universe, so I'm glad that her family life's in order, but can we get her back to where the Daredevil, Kingpin, and all the cool stuff is? I don't know. I think,
you know what show I just remembered, though?
Oh, God. What am I forgetting? Go.
Secret Invasion.
Let's
not even talk about that one.
Completely blacked that out.
Let's just all universally agree that was horrible, and we're not going to mention it. We all know. We all know.
Yep.
And those who don't know, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
Don't watch
Spare
the show.
yourself.
It's so bad. I would not be surprised if Marvel also forgets about that show. So
We'll see.
you
They
don't
got to
need to
use
watch
Rhodey
it.
at some point.
I really hope they retcon that whole show with Rhodey. Did y'all hear that, like, somebody said I was a Skrull, like, for years?
I want us to see.
That was crazy.
No,
Anyways.
my thing is I need to, I want to see Maria Hill again.
Yeah,
I need her to be
I
like,
think that could be a
"Did you
fun
guys
way to...
Have you guys ever heard of these LMDs? These life model decoys that just look like people, and they I've heard they bleed now.
Yeah. Literally, that's all you need to do is bring back Maria Hill to be like, forget about Secret Invasion. That's all you need to do.
It was a simulation. No, that's what you do.
Yeah.
It's like Sam Jackson or Nick Fury's like in some kind of like pod.
Simulation.
And it's like
that would get so many laughs from the people who watch that show, and you're like, yes, like, thank you.
Wait, remind me, was that before or after the Marvels?
I don't know.
I almost want to say it was before the Marvels.
But then wouldn't he be super skeptical about the scrolls and like, I don't know, man. I forgot.
I'm trying to
Anyways, we're not talking about the finale, remember? It's so bad.
But whatever.
Anyways, so it's going to be better than that one.
Yes. So I think I continue to feel probably about as I did at the beginning, a little uneasy.
I felt better, though. I liked the 5th and 6th episode a lot. And then overall, the 7th one I liked.
Yeah.
Especially better than 2nd or 3rd.
This season
but I am
continues to
overall
be a very mixed
disappointed.
bag.
So
I really think it can go any way with these last 2 episodes.
I think it is really suffering from the overhaul. I really hope the overall pays off, because if not, then what was it all for?
Sure.
But we'll see in the last 2. I mean, I don't want to put all my marbles on the last 2 because they have a lot to clean up rather than, you know, finishing up their ideas. Like, that's not what they get to do, unfortunately. But I don't know. I know if it's good, I'm going to feel a lot better about season 2. And otherwise, I'm going to be still worried about season 2.
I agree.
And I don't want to have to worry for a year. So we'll see.
We will, especially with how limited Marvel shows are going to be next year. Because it's going to be...
That one, Spider-Man, and X-Men 97.
And Vision show.
Yes, Vision Quest. Well. Yep.
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Two animated two.
Of those 3 shows, what are you most excited for?
X-Men 97. I really I liked that one.
Really
the
fair.
the first season even better than the Spider-Man first season. So excited. Although Spider-Man's maybe gonna have a fun year next year, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they do something to connect those.
Because they already showed Spider-Man in X-Men 97. And it was a little... Because I think that was supposed to connect to the...
Spider-Man, the show and the movie. I wonder if they're going to do anything to set up for the Spider-Man. I don't know when it's coming out, though, so I don't know if it's before or after the Spider-Man movie. So I don't know if they would even want to reference each other at all. Yeah. I don't really care if they do. I kind of
like it being its own thing right now.
Yeah. Like, I'm totally fine with that if they don't reference it. I'm just wondering, but...
Yeah. So anything else we want to throw in last minute about Daredevil episode 7?
I don't think so. I'm ready to see the next 2, basically. Very excited to see next week's, because that's really going to be like, okay, what do I feel about the finale?
Because I really can't imagine what everything's building towards right now. Like, I could not guess what big showdown could happen.
Hopefully we'll find out.
Because you know what? I still want to see Swordmaster back with
Well,
Jack.
they're gonna have the
see him in
gala.
costume again.
That's the big finales. They're gonna have the gala. So we'll see. Let's hope he comes back.
Anyways,
I think
so
that's all.
that is all of our thoughts for that episode of Daredevil Born Again.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 episodes left, so you can start watching those on Disney Plus if you have not already. We kind of think it's a mixed bag, but a lot of people on the internet have very mixed feelings about this show. Some people really love it. Some people are saying it's garbage compared to the original series.
The reception is also a mixed bag,
Yeah,
but it's very
absolutely.
like either you love it or you hate it. Well, whereas like we're not at either
In
one.
the
So
middle. So we would love to know what you think of this show. Please leave us a comment on how you are feeling about the first season of Daredevil Born Again.
and where do you
how
think
are
it's
feeling-
going?
Where do you think it's going, for sure.
Hello.
And let us know your thoughts on White Lotus Season 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for watching and listening to us today. For those who don't know, our episodes are streaming both on our YouTube channel and on Spotify, whichever is most convenient to you guys. We
Yeah.
also have a Instagram page and a Twitter page if you guys want to find us. We are NSSN_pod on both of those. And we'd appreciate seeing you guys in all of our spaces because we love interacting with you guys. So I think that's everything we have. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm Luke.
I'm Alicia.
And thank you guys for watching Not So Straight Nerds.